I just finally got divorced and immediately moved abroad to start fresh. My ex-wife didn't waste time. She immediately married her longtime lover, within weeks. During their wedding reception, a close guest casually said something specific that completely drove her absolutely crazy, and shockingly right after that moment, she actually called me desperately. The ink on the divorce papers had barely dried when I booked the one-way ticket. No second thoughts. No looking back. Just me, 2 suitcases and a fresh start waiting on the other side of the Atlantic. People kept asking why I'd leave everything behind. The answer was simple. There was nothing left to stay for. The marriage had been over long before the paperwork made it official. She'd made sure of that when she started spending more time with Philip than with me. Everyone knew the neighbors or friends, even her family, but nobody said anything until it was too late to matter. The divorce took 8 months. 8 months of lawyers' arguments about who gets what, and her acting like the victim in a situation she created. When the judge finally signed off, I felt lighter than I had in years. No more tension, no more lies, no more pretending. Everything was fine when it clearly wasn't. Within 3 weeks I'd sold most of my stuff, quit my job at the manufacturing plant, and found work overseas. A buddy from my Navy days had connections in Barcelona. The pay was decent, the cost of living was manageable, and most importantly, it was 5,000 miles away from the mess I was leaving. Behind the flight out was the most peaceful 12 hours I'd had in years. No phone calls, no drama, just clouds and silence. When I landed, the weight I'd been carrying around finally lifted. This was exactly what I needed. Setting up in Barcelona wasn't complicated. Found a small place near the Gothic Quarter. Nothing fancy but comfortable. The job was straightforward, working in logistics for an export company. My Spanish was terrible at first, but people were patient. Within a month, I had a routine work, explore the city, learn the language, meet new people. Actual genuine people who didn't know anything about my past and didn't care to ask. Then about 6 weeks after I'd settled in, my phone started blowing up. Messages from old friends back home, screenshots, photos. She'd gotten married to Philip. Obviously the wedding looked expensive. Big venue, lots of guests. The whole production. The photos showed her in a white dress, smiling like she'd won the lottery. I stared at the pictures for maybe 30 seconds, then deleted the messages. Good for her. I thought she got what she wanted. I had what I wanted too, and it had nothing to do with her anymore. But then Russell sent me a text. He'd been at the wedding, an old friend who somehow stayed neutral through the whole divorce. His message was short. Dude, you dodged a serious bullet. Trust me on this. I didn't respond right away. What was there to say? I already knew I'd dodged a bullet. The fact that she married Philip so quickly just confirmed what I'd suspected all along. This wasn't some new relationship. It had been going on for a while. Probably longer than I wanted to think about. The next message from Russell came an hour later. The reception was wild. Something happened. She completely lost it in front of everyone. I'll fill you in later, but man, you picked the right time to leave the country. That got my attention. She lost it at her own wedding reception. That didn't sound like her. She was always so careful about appearances. So concerned with what people thought. For her to lose control in public, something serious must have happened. I typed back. What do you mean she lost it? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, can't text at all too much. But someone said something during the toasts and she went completely pale, like she'd seen a ghost. Then she spent the rest of the night looking miserable. Philip looked confused as awful. Nobody knew what was going on. I set my phone down and walked out onto my balcony. The Barcelona evening was warm, the street below, busy with people heading to dinner, couples walking hand in hand. Life here moved at a different pace. People actually seemed to enjoy living instead of just getting through the day. Whatever happened at that reception wasn't my problem anymore. She'd made her choices and I'd made mine. If she was having regrets or dealing with consequences, that was on her. I'd spent enough years trying to fix things that couldn't be fixed. My phone buzzed again, another message. But this time not from Russell. This time, it was from a number I'd kept, but never expected to see pop up again. Her number. The message was simple. Can we talk? I stared at those 3 words for a long time. 2 months ago, I would have responded immediately, desperate to hear what she had to say. 2 months ago, I still had hoped that maybe things could somehow work out, that maybe she'd realize what she was throwing away. But that was 2 months ago. That was a different person in a different life. The person I was now standing on a balcony in Barcelona with a new job and a fresh start. Didn't need to have that conversation. I turned my phone off and went back inside. Whatever she wanted to talk about could wait, or better yet, it could stay unsaid. Some conversations aren't worth having, especially when you already know how they'll end. The next morning I turned my phone back on 7 missed calls, all from her, no voicemails, just the calls. Then 1 text message, please. It's important. I deleted the notifications and went to work. Important to her maybe, but not to me. Not anymore. Russell called me that evening. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. You're not going to believe what I saw at that reception, he said, skipping any greeting. I'm telling you, it was like watching a train wreck in slow motion. I poured myself a glass of wine and sat down. All right, I'm listening. So, everything was going fine. At first, the ceremony was typical. Lots of crying from her mom. Philip looking smug is awful. Then we get to the reception. Open bar, fancy food. The usual. About an hour in, they start doing the toasts. Let me guess, someone made a joke about how fast they got married. Worse, way worse. Russell paused. Her cousin Mia stood up. You remember Mia, right? The one who never really liked Philip. I did remember her. Mia was always straightforward, sometimes brutally honest. She'd actually warned my ex about Philip years ago. Said he wasn't the type to settle down. Mia gets up there with her champagne glass. Russell continued and she starts this toast about love and commitment, standard stuff. Then she says, and I quote, "Marriage is about choosing someone every single day, even when it's hard. It's about loyalty when nobody's watching. It's about being honest. Even when the truth is uncomfortable." That doesn't sound that bad. Wait for it. Then Mia looks directly at your ex and says, "I hope this marriage has all those things, because we both know what happens when it doesn't." Then she raised her glass and sat down. I sat forward. What did she mean by that? That's what everyone was wondering, but your ex, man. The color drained from her face. She looked like she'd been slapped. Philip was confused, kept asking her what that meant. She just kept saying it was nothing, that Mia was being dramatic. But it wasn't nothing. Definitely wasn't nothing. After that toast, the whole vibe changed. Your ex barely smiled for the rest of the night. She kept looking around like she was waiting for someone else to say something. People were whispering, trying to figure out what Mia was talking about. I took a sip of wine, and did anyone figure it out? Not at the reception, but I talked to Mia afterward at the hotel bar. She'd had a few drinks by then, and was more willing to talk. Russell's voice dropped lower. Apparently Philip's been seeing someone else. That actually surprised me already. They just got married. No, not already. While he was still with your ex, before you two even filed for divorce, Mia found out about it months ago through a mutual friend. She'd been sitting on that information waiting to see if Philip would actually go through with the wedding. I leaned back in my chair processing this. So she married a guy who was broke. Trust on her while he was broke. Trust on me. With her poetic justice. Right. Mia said she couldn't sit there and toast their marriage knowing what she knew. So she gave that speech just vague enough to not cause a scene, but clear enough that your ex would understand exactly what she was talking about. Does Philip know that she knows? I don't think so. But your ex definitely understood the message. After the reception ended, I saw her in the hallway near the bathrooms. She was on her phone crying, not the happy, crying from earlier, actual upset, crying. I didn't say anything. For a moment, part of me felt vindicated. She left our marriage for someone who turned out to be exactly what everyone warned. But another part of me, a smaller part, felt something else. Not sympathy exactly, but maybe recognition. I knew what it felt like to discover the person you trusted was lying to you. That's probably why she's been calling you. Russell said she's realizing what she gave up. She didn't give up anything. She threw it away. There's a difference. True. So what are you going to do? Are you going to talk to her? I looked out at the Barcelona skyline, the sun setting behind the buildings. No. What would be the point? Even if everything you're telling me is accurate, it doesn't change anything. She made her choice and I made mine. I'm not interested in being her backup plan or her shoulder to cry on. Good. Honestly, she doesn't deserve that from you. You've moved on. Let her deal with the mess she created after we hung up. I sat there thinking about Mia as toast. About loyalty when nobody's watching. About being honest, even when the truth is uncomfortable. Those were the exact things missing from my marriage. The exact things I'd asked for and never received. My phone buzzed again, another text from her. I know you're seeing these messages, please. Just 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. 5 minutes. She wanted 5 minutes of my time after years of lies and months of divorce proceedings. After moving on with Philip before our marriage was even officially over, after getting married, just weeks after our divorce was finalized, I typed back a single word. Why? The response came immediately because I made a mistake, a huge mistake, and I need to talk to someone who actually knows me. I stared at that message. She needed to talk to someone who actually knows her. The irony wasn't lost on me for years. I tried to know her, tried to understand what she wanted, what she needed. Every time she pushed me away, kept secrets, built walls between us. Now she wanted to be known. Now she wanted understanding. I put my phone on silent and went to bed. Whatever crisis she was having, whatever revelation she'd come to at her own wedding reception, it wasn't mine to solve. Not anymore. As I lay there in the dark, I couldn't help wondering what Philip's reaction would be when the truth eventually came out. Because it always does. Secrets have a way of surfacing, especially in marriages built on shaky foundations. She'd chosen this path. Now she'd have to walk it the next morning. There were 3 more missed calls and 2 more texts. I deleted them all without reading. Russell was. I dodged a bullet, and I wasn't about to walk back into the line of fire just because she finally realized what she'd lost. 3 days passed before she tried calling at a time I couldn't ignore. It was 2 a.m. Barcelona time, which meant it was early evening back home. I'd been out with some coworkers just getting back to my apartment. When the phone rang, I was tired, maybe a little buzzed from the sangria, and my guard was down. I answered. "Thank God," she breathed out. "I thought you were never going to pick up. It's 2 in the morning here. What do you want?" "I know, I'm sorry. I needed to hear your voice." She sounded exhausted. Her words slightly slurred. Had she been drinking? "You heard it. Now what?" "Don't be like that, please. I just want to talk." I walked into my apartment and dropped my keys on the counter. "We don't have anything to talk about. The divorce is final. You're married to Philip now. Congratulations, by the way." Her voice cracked. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Acknowledge facts. You got married 2 weeks ago. I saw the photos. Looked like quite the event." There was silence on the other end. Just her breathing when she spoke again. Her voice was smaller. "How's Barcelona?" "It's good. Great. Actually, weather's nice, job solid. People are friendly. I'm settling in." "Well, that's good. I'm glad you're doing okay." "I'm doing better than okay. Best decision I've made in years moving here." I wasn't trying to be cruel, just honest. But I could hear the impact of my words in her sharp intake of breath. "I miss talking to you," she said quietly. "Is that weird to say, considering you're on your honeymoon or just got back from it?" "Pretty weird. We didn't go on a honeymoon. Philip said we'd do it later when work slows down." I almost laughed. "He said that? What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing. Not my business anymore." Another long pause. I could hear music in the background on RN voices talking. "Where are you right now?" I asked. "At home." "Philip's working late again." "He's been working late a lot since the wedding." I didn't respond to that. The implications were clear enough. "I keep thinking about what Mia said at the reception." She continued. "Did anyone tell you about that?" "I might have heard something. She basically accused Philip of broke trust on me in front of everyone." "Can you believe that?" "Can I?" "Yeah, actually. I can believe that pretty easily." "What's that supposed to mean?" I sat down on my couch, suddenly very tired. "Come on. You're not that naive. You know exactly what it means." "Philip wouldn't. He's not like that. He left his previous relationship for you. What makes you think he won't do the same thing to you?" "That was different. We had something genuine. A connection. Right? A connection. That's what you told me when I found those texts on your phone, that you found a genuine connection with someone who understood you better than I ever could. Why are you bringing that up now?" "Because you called me. Remember, you wanted to talk, so let's talk." "Why did you actually call, and don't say it's because you miss talking to me. We both know that's not it." She was quiet for so long. I thought she'd hung up then. "Do you ever regret it? The divorce?" "No. Not even a little bit. Not even once." "You don't ever think about what we had?" "I think about it sometimes, but not the way you're probably hoping. I think about all the signs I ignored, all the times I made excuses for you, all the chances I gave you to be honest with me. And I'm grateful that chapter is closed." "That's harsh." "It's honest. You wanted honesty, right? That's what Mia Toast was about. Being honest, even when it's uncomfortable." "You talked to Mia." "I talked to Russell. He was at your wedding. Remember? He told me everything." I could hear her breath quicken. "What did he tell you?" "Doesn't matter. The point is, you made your choice. You chose Philip. You chose to end our marriage. You chose to get remarried less than 2 months after our divorce was finalized. Those were all your decisions." "I thought I was choosing happiness," she said, her voice breaking. "I thought I was choosing someone who would make me feel alive again. And how's that working out for you?" She didn't answer, but I could hear her crying softly. Part of me wanted to feel bad for her, but I couldn't. This was the consequence of her actions. This was the result of the choices she made. "I should go," I said. "It's late here and this conversation isn't going anywhere productive." "Wait. Please. Can I ask you something?" "What, do you hate me?" I thought about it. Did I hate her? I used to. For months after I discovered the affair, I'd felt nothing but anger and betrayal. But somewhere between filing for a divorce and landing in Barcelona, that hate had evaporated. What replaced it was something closer to indifference. "No," I said finally. "I don't hate you. I don't really feel anything about you anymore. And honestly, that's so much better." She sobbed. Then a genuine cry that might have broken me 6 months ago. But now it just made me tired. I have to go. I said, don't call this number again. There's nothing left to say. Please don't hang up. I ended the call and immediately blocked her number. Then I blocked her on every social media platform I could think of. Clean break. No more looking back. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Russell. Did she call you? Yeah, I handled it. Good man. She doesn't deserve your time. He was right. She didn't, and I wasn't going to give her any more of it. I went to bed that night feeling lighter than I had since answering her call. The conversation had been necessary in a way. It confirmed what I already knew. I'd made the right choice. Barcelona, the new job, the fresh start. All of it was exactly where I needed to be. She could keep calling, keep texting, keep trying to reach out. But I was done responding, done being available, done being her safety net. Whatever happened in her marriage with Philip was her problem. Now I had my own life to live, and it was a damn good one. 2 weeks went by without any contact. I settled into a comfortable rhythm, in Barcelona mornings at the logistics office. Afternoons, exploring different neighborhoods. Evenings, learning Spanish with a group of expats and locals at a cafe near my apartment. Life felt normal again, like I was finally breathing after being underwater for years. Then Mia reached out. The message came through LinkedIn of all places. Hey, I know this is random, but I think we need to talk. It's about your ex. Can I call you? I stared at the message for a few minutes. Mia and I had always gotten along, but we'd never been close. The fact that she was reaching out directly meant something significant had happened. I sent her my number. She called within 5 minutes. Thanks for answering. She said, I wasn't sure if you'd want to hear from anyone connected to that situation. Depends on what you have to say. Fair enough. I'll get straight to it. My toast at the wedding. The one everyone's been talking about. There's more to that story than anyone knows. Russell told me Philip was broke. Trust. That's what you were hinting at, right? That's part of it. But there's more. She took a breath. About 4 months ago, I was at a restaurant downtown with some friends. I saw Philip there with a woman, not your ex, someone else. They were sitting in a corner booth, very cozy, very intimate. I thought maybe it was a work thing. But then he kissed her, not a friendly kiss, a genuine romantic kiss before or after he got engaged to my ex, after they'd already set the wedding date. I took a photo because I knew nobody would believe me otherwise. I showed it to my friend, Catherine, who knows Philip through work circles. She confirmed that the woman in the photo is someone he's been seeing for over a year. Her name's Abigail. I processed this information, so he was with Abigail while he was having an affair with my ex-wife, who was still married to me. That's impressive levels of deception. It gets worse. Catherine did some digging. Abigail didn't know about your ex. She thought she was Philip's only girlfriend. When she found out about the engagement, she confronted him. He told her the marriage was just for appearances for his career, that he'd continue seeing her afterward, and she believed him apparently, at least for a while. But then about a week before the wedding, Abigail showed up at your ex-wife's workplace, caused a scene in the parking lot. Your ex convinced herself that Abigail was just some delusional woman with a crush on Philip. She chose to believe his version of events. I walked to my balcony looking out at the evening, traffic below. That's what you meant in your toast about being honest, even when the truth is uncomfortable. Exactly. I couldn't sit there and toast their marriage knowing what I knew. I wanted to tell her outright, show her the photos, but Catherine convinced me not to. She said it wasn't my place, that it would just make me look like the bad guy. So I gave that toast instead. Vague enough to not cause immediate drama, but clear enough that she'd understand. I knew something. Did it work? She called me the next day demanding to know what I meant. I told her everything, showed her the photos, gave her Catherine's contact information so she could verify it herself. At first she didn't believe me, said I was jealous, that I'd always had a problem with Philip. But then I sent her Abigail's Instagram account, let me guess. Lots of photos with Philip. Bingo. Photos from dates, trips, restaurants, all time-stamped, all taken during the time Philip was supposedly committed to your ex. She couldn't deny it anymore. That's why she's been calling me. I said, the piece is falling into place. She realized she destroyed her marriage for someone who's doing the same thing to her, pretty much, and from what I'm hearing, it's getting worse. Philip hasn't stopped seeing Abigail. If anything, he's gotten bolder about it. He's barely home. When he is home, they fight constantly. Your ex reached out to a few people asking if they knew good divorce attorneys. I almost laughed. They've been married for what, 3 weeks? 20 days. But who's counting? Me paused. Look, I know you've moved on. Russell told me you're in Spain now doing well. I'm not telling you this because I think you should get involved or feel bad for her. I'm telling you, because she's probably going to try reaching out again, and you should know the full picture. I blocked her number after she called me last time. She'll find another way. She's desperate. Not because she wants you back necessarily. but because she needs someone to validate that she's not crazy for feeling betrayed. Problem is, she betrayed you in the exact same way. So any sympathy she's looking for isn't going to come easy. She's not getting it from me, that's for sure. Good. You don't owe her anything. I just wanted you to have all the information. Mia hesitated. For what it's worth, I always thought she was making a mistake leaving you Philip's charming on the surface. But there's nothing underneath. You're better off without her. After we hung up, I sat on my balcony for a long time watching the sun set over Barcelona. The situation back home was almost poetic. In its irony, she'd left a faithful husband for an affair partner who turned out to be exactly what everyone warned her about. Now she was living the same nightmare. She'd put me through. My phone buzzed. An email from an address I didn't recognize. I know you blocked me. I don't blame you, but please. I need to ask you something. How did you know? How did you know I was lying before I even admitted it? How did you stay so calm when you found out I'm going through something similar now and I don't know how to handle it? I read the email twice. She wanted advice. She wanted me to help her navigate the pain of being betrayal on by the person she betrayal with. The audacity was almost impressive. I typed out a response. You handle it the same way I did. You accept that you can't control other people's choices. You acknowledge that the person you trusted broke that trust. You stop making excuses for them, and then you move on. The difference is, I have sympathy for my situation because I didn't create it. You created yours. Good luck figuring it out. I hit send before I could second guess myself. Then I blocked that email address too. Russell texted me an hour later, heard me have filled you in. Wild situation, right? Understatement of the year. She's asking people about you. Wanting to know how you're doing. If you're seeing anyone, if you ever talk about her, tell anyone who asks that I'm doing great and I never think about her because it's true. Will do. By the way, there's a pool going around about how long their marriage lasts. I've got money on 3 months. That's generous. I give it 6 weeks. The next morning, I woke up to another email from a different address. Just one line. Did you ever love me? I deleted it without responding. The answer didn't matter anymore. What I felt back then was for a person who either never existed or stopped existing long before I realized it. That person was gone. Replaced by someone I didn't recognize and had no interest in knowing. Barcelona was teaching me something important. Sometimes the best way to win is to stop playing the game entirely. She could keep reaching out, keep trying to engage me, keep looking for closure or validation, or whatever it was she needed. But I wasn't participating anymore. I had my own life now, and it was exactly what I needed it to be. A month passed. I'd stopped checking for messages from unknown numbers or suspicious emails. Whatever crisis she was navigating wasn't my concern anymore. My Spanish had improved enough to hold basic conversations. I'd gotten promoted to a senior coordinator position at work and I'd started seeing someone. Nothing serious yet, just coffee dates and walks along the beach with a woman named Elena, who worked at the cafe where I practiced Spanish. Life was good, genuinely good. Then Russell called again. Man, you need to hear this. It's getting messy. Back here I was at a tapas bar with some coworkers halfway through my second beer. I'm really not interested in updates about her situation. I know, but this is significant. She filed for divorce 5 weeks after the wedding. It's all over social media. People are losing their minds. I excused myself from the table and walked outside. 5 weeks. That's gotta be some kind of record. It gets better. She's claiming, tricked, says Philip misrepresented himself, that he was in another relationship the entire time. Her lawyer's arguing the marriage should be an alt. Is that even possible? Apparently it's a gray area, but here's the thing that's making it complicated. Philip fighting it. He says the marriage is valid and he wants spousal support. I couldn't help it. I laugh. Spousal support. They were married for 5 weeks. What everyone's saying. But Philip quit his job 2 weeks after the wedding claims. He did it because she wanted him to focus on starting a family business together. Now he's saying she owes him financial support while he looks for new work. That's insane. He has to be. Probably. But he's got texts apparently. Messages where she talked about them working together, building something. Her lawyer saying, she was talking hypothetically, that there was no genuine plan. It's turning into a circus. I leaned against the stone wall outside the bar, processing this information. What about Abigail? Is she involved in any of this? That's another layer. Abigail showed up at the courthouse during one of the preliminary hearings. Started yelling at Philip in the hallway. Security had to escort her out. Turns out he'd promised her that once the divorce went through, he'd marry her instead. He's running the same playbook on everyone. Exactly. And now all 3 women are comparing notes. Your ex Abigail, and apparently there's a 4th woman who came forward last week, someone Philip was seeing before he even met your ex. They're all talking to each other, sharing evidence, building a timeline. It's like watching a documentary unfold in actual time. I shook my head. That's karma working overtime. No kidding. Anyway, the reason I'm calling is because your name came up in the legal proceedings. Philip's lawyer is trying to argue that your ex has a pattern of failed relationships, and that's why their marriage fell apart. They're saying she ruined things. It because she couldn't handle commitment. That's rich considering she's the one who ended our marriage. Right. They're twisting it, saying you moved to another country to escape, that the divorce was contentious, that she has emotional issues. Her lawyer needs you to provide a statement, just basic facts about the divorce. Nothing dramatic. Would you be willing to do that? I thought about it. On one hand, I wanted nothing to do with this mess. On the other hand, Philip was trying to manipulate the narrative, and I had no problem setting the record straight. Send me the information. I'll provide a statement, but make it clear I'm doing this to prevent Philip from lying, not to help her. Understood? I'll pass that along. After we hung up, I went back inside. My coworkers asked if everything was okay. I told them it was just some legal paperwork from my old life, nothing important. Elena caught my eye from across the room and smiled. That smile reminded me why I'd left in the first place. To find something genuine, something uncomplicated. 2 days later, I received an email from a law firm. The statement they needed was straightforward. Timeline of the marriage when I discovered the affair, whether the divorce was contested. I filled it out, honestly, attached copies of the divorce decree and sent it back. Done. But that evening, another email came through. This one wasn't from a lawyer. Thank you for sending that statement. I know you didn't have to. My attorney showed me a copy. You could have made me look terrible, but you stuck to facts. That means more than you know. I hope Barcelona is everything you wanted it to be. I hope you're happy. You deserve that. I'm sorry I couldn't give it to you. I read it 3 times. There was something different about this message. No manipulation, no request for contact, no attempts to engage me in conversation, just acknowledgement and apology. I didn't respond, but I didn't delete it either. Russell texted me the next week. Court hearing got postponed. Philip's lawyer requested more time to gather evidence. Your ex is freaking out because she can't afford to keep paying her attorney if this drags on. That's not my problem. I know. Just keeping you informed. Oh, and her parents basically disowned her. Her dad told her she made her bed, and now she has to lie in it. They're not helping with legal fees. That surprised me. Her parents had always supported her even when she was clearly in the wrong. For them to cut her off meant they'd reached their limit. What about Philip's family? They're staying out of it. His mom apparently told him months ago that marrying your ex was a mistake. Nobody in his family even came to the wedding. They all knew what he was. I set my phone down and looked around my apartment, sunlight streaming through the windows, sounds of the city below, a postcard from Elena on my refrigerator from a weekend trip we'd taken to Sid's. This was my life now, peaceful, honest, moving forward. Meanwhile, back home, she was drowning in the consequences of choices she'd made. Part of me felt vindicated, but a larger part just felt grateful that I'd gotten out. When I did, my phone buzzed. One more time, another unknown number. Can I ask you one thing? Can. Just one question, and then I won't contact you again. I stared at the message against my better judgment. I responded, what? When did you stop loving me? I need to know when I lost you. I typed slowly, choosing each word carefully. I stopped loving you the moment I realized you'd never been honest with me. Not about your feelings, not about Philip, not about anything that mattered. You didn't lose me. You never had me, not the genuine version of me anyway, because you never let yourself be genuine with me. I sent it, and immediately blocked the number. Elena called an hour later, asking if I wanted to grab dinner. I said yes without hesitation, because that's what my life was. Now, simple questions with simple answers. No hidden agendas, no second guessing, no drama. Just forward momentum, and it felt incredible. 6 months later, Russell sent me one final update. Thought you want to know? The annulment went through. Philip got nothing. Turns out he'd done this before twice. Both previous marriages lasted under a year. Judge called him a con artist in open court. I was sitting at a cafe with Elena, planning a trip to Portugal. I read the message, and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, just complete indifference. Everything. Okay? Elena asked. Yeah, just closing a chapter 1 should have closed a long time ago. I typed back to Russell. Thanks for letting me know. Don't send any more updates. That part of my life is done. Understood. You're living your best life, man. Keep it up. I blocked Russell's ability to message me about her clean slate that evening. One last email arrived. I almost deleted it without reading, but something made me open it. I heard you're with someone new. I'm happy for you. Genuinely, I destroyed something good because I thought I deserved better. Turns out I didn't deserve you at all. I won't contact you again. I finally understand what you meant about moving forward. Thank you for showing me what integrity looks like, even when I didn't appreciate it. I hope she knows how lucky she is. I showed Elena the message, my ex-wife final goodbye. Apparently she read it and shrugged. You going to respond? No. There's nothing left to say. I deleted the email and every other message I'd saved, cleared the history, removed the numbers, erased the digital trail. Then I turned to Elena and said, let's book those tickets to Portugal. She smiled now. Right now, no reason to wait. We spent the next hour planning the trip, laughing over wine, making actual plans with someone who showed up. Honestly, no games, no hidden agendas, no wondering if I could trust what she was saying. My phone stayed silent for the rest of the night. No messages, no calls, no attempts to pull me back into a past that no longer existed. The divorce was final. The annulment was process. The chapter was closed and I was exactly where I needed to be, with someone who chose me every single day without hesitation, without doubt, without looking for something better. She'd asked when she lost me. The truth was simpler than she realized. She never had me to lose because she never chose me when it mattered. But Elena did, and that made all the difference. Barcelona felt like home now. Not because of the city, but because I'd finally learned what it meant to be chosen by someone who meant it. That was the ending. I deserved the one I built for myself. You are useless, my sister snapped across the table. I said nothing. Guests stared. A stranger tapped my shoulder. This is for you, he said. I saw the court stamp. My name is Olivia Turner, and I am 33 years old. I work as a logistics coordinator for a shipping company. It is a very steady job, but it goes entirely unnoticed by my family. I am the dependable fixer. I am the permanent backup plan. I am the one they always call when things go wrong and everyone else is busy. My biggest personal struggle is being constantly dismissed as completely expendable while other people get all the praise. My sister is always treated as the absolute favorite. She gets wildly applauded for simply waking up in the morning. I am expected to silently accept her bitter insults with a forced smile. It hurts deeply every single time. The strong smell of her expensive perfume always makes my stomach turn, because it constantly reminds me of my own tragic invisibility. I just dream of basic stability and true respect without having to beg them for it. I was completely tired of living entirely in her shadow. I wasn't rich or glamorous, but I had something they didn't expect. I know how it feels being labeled useless despite carrying the heavy load. Have you ever been talked down to by family? If you have stayed quiet just to keep the peace, then please subscribe today. It hurts being severely underestimated. Click like or hit that hype button right now. The annual family gathering was in full swing. We sat around the large dinner table. The loud clinking of expensive crystal glasses echoed in my ears. The sound of their roaring laughter made my head ache. My sister sat at the head of the table holding court as usual. Her side comments started small, but quickly escalated. She drank her wine and looked directly at me. She delivered a vicious public insult about my logistics job. She openly mocked my complete lack of ambition. You don't contribute anything, she said loudly. The entire room went completely silent for 1 second. Then my aunt chuckled. The other relatives quickly started laughing along with her. My cheeks burned with pure shame. I looked at my mother for help. She just waved her hand dismissively. She told me to relax and stop being so sensitive. The bitter humiliation peaked right there in that dining room. I felt incredibly small and completely worthless. I pushed my chair back and stood up. I quietly left the table and walked out the front door to get some fresh air. The cool night breeze hit my hot face. I stood on the porch staring at the dark driveway. A car pulled up. A stranger approached me. He wore a gray suit. He was very formal and completely neutral. Olivia Turner? He asked. I nodded slowly. He reached into his leather briefcase. He pulled out a thick document. He handed me a tightly sealed brown envelope. I looked down and saw a bright red court stamp right on the front. My heart skipped a heavy beat. I turned it over in my shaking hands. The twist hit me hard. It was addressed to me alone. It was not for my parents. It was not for my perfect sister. It was strictly for me. The stranger turned around and walked away into the dark night. I stood alone on the wooden porch. I held the heavy paper tightly against my chest. I finally had a secret of my very own. I knew my entire life was about to change. The first betrayal happened the very next morning. My sister called our extended family to gossip. She loudly repeated the useless label to anyone who would listen. She told them I was having a pathetic breakdown on the porch. The second betrayal cut even deeper. My parents held a serious meeting about selling the old family cabin. They deliberately planned major financial decisions without me. They completely excluded me from the conversation. The third betrayal was pure manipulation. My mother saw the brown envelope on my kitchen counter. She demanded to know what it was. When I refused to tell her, she sighed dramatically. She pressured me to ignore the envelope entirely for family harmony. She said I was just seeking desperate attention. I wrestled with immense doubt and burning curiosity. My sister's confidence grew rapidly over the next few days. Her daily mockery became vicious. "Are you waiting for a magical fairy to save you?" she sneered during a Sunday lunch. She laughed and tossed her perfectly styled hair. "You are never going to amount to anything." I stared at her. I didn't cry. My sadness had evaporated. I felt a sudden shift inside my chest. My heart turned to solid ice. I quietly verified the envelope's origin later that afternoon. I called the official court clerk. I gave them the heavy file number printed on the front. They confirmed it was a legitimate legal summons. This was definitely not a mistake. My quiet resilience built into an unbreakable wall. I was done being their helpless victim. I carefully locked the envelope inside my heavy metal desk drawer. I stopped answering my sister's mocking text messages. I stopped volunteering to fix their constant petty problems. I started standing up straight. The cold reality was finally setting in. They had treated me like garbage for 33 years. They thought my complete silence meant I was weak and stupid. They were severely mistaken. I was just gathering my strength. I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. My eyes were completely clear and sharp. The frightened girl was entirely gone. A cold and confident woman stared back at me. They had pushed me into a dark corner for far too long. Now I possessed a powerful weapon. I was ready to absolutely destroy their arrogant illusions. I was going to watch their entire false narrative burn to the ground. Let them laugh right now. Let them call me useless. They would soon learn exactly who held all the true power. I smiled a cold smile. The very long game was finally about to begin very soon. Let's just wait and strictly see exactly who wins this final brutal battle tonight. What they didn't know was someone had been watching quietly for years. My great-uncle Arthur was entirely estranged from my immediate family. He was a grumpy man who lived alone in a huge estate on the edge of town. My parents ignored him because he refused to fund their lavish lifestyle. My sister thought he was just a creepy old man, but I was the only one who regularly brought him groceries. I sat with him and fixed his broken computers. I listened to his stories. I performed all those quiet favors because it was simply the right thing to do. I never asked him for a single penny. I earned a very deep trust that absolutely no one else in my family ever earned. The suspense around what the court documents contained made my pulse race violently. The heavy brown envelope sat locked in my desk. It held a profound secret. I realized my arrogant family had overlooked far more than just my hurt feelings. They had entirely overlooked a massive hidden inheritance. The sprawling property and vast assets left by a forgotten relative were secretly bound to my name alone. I didn't need their fake praise. Uncle Arthur had silently recognized my intense dedication. He saw my true worth when they only saw a useless servant. Their terrible blindness was about to become my ultimate financial salvation hiding in plain sight. I needed solid advice before I faced them. I called Mr. Henderson. He was a former senior manager at my parents' company. My family had brutally fired him last year to save money. He was deeply wronged, but he always stayed in touch with me. He met me at a quiet coffee shop. The smell of roasted beans was comforting. I slid the documents across the scratched wooden table. He read through the thick pages carefully. He confirmed the legal process was airtight. "Uncle Arthur planned this perfectly," he said with a sharp grin. He knew exactly what he was doing. Mr. Henderson helped me prepare for what was coming next without any unnecessary drama. He taught me how to keep my emotions completely locked down. Meanwhile, my family grew wildly arrogant. My sister texted me to ask if my little legal problem was solved yet. She assumed the envelope was just an unpaid parking ticket or a silly scam. My parents laughed about it during dinner. They were so blissfully ignorant. The tension built rapidly inside my house. I contacted Uncle Arthur's attorney, and a formal meeting was officially scheduled for Friday morning. I invited my parents and my sister to attend. I told them it was a mandatory family summons. They complained bitterly about the early hour. My sister rolled her eyes and called me dramatic. She had no idea she was walking straight into an absolute trap. I packed my black leather bag. I wore my best dark suit. I felt a thrilling surge of raw power in my veins. The days of me being the quiet little mouse were officially over. I was about to roar. The final pieces were finally in perfect position. The long wait was ending. It was time to completely destroy their precious golden little world right now once and for all. The lawyer's office was vast and intimidating. Large mahogany bookshelves lined the walls. The air smelled strongly of expensive leather and furniture polish. My parents and my sister sat on a plush velvet couch. My sister checked her phone and yawned loudly. I sat alone in a high-backed chair directly across from the large wooden desk. The stern attorney walked into the room. He carried a massive black folder. He sat down and adjusted his reading glasses. He opened the file and began to strictly explain the official court order. "We are here for the final estate execution of Arthur Turner," he announced clearly. My parents suddenly sat up straight. My sister stopped looking at her phone. The attorney cleared his throat. He read the legal document. "All physical properties, business holdings and liquid assets, are hereby designated solely to Olivia Turner." My sister gasped. She jumped up from the couch. "That is impossible," she interrupted furiously. "She is just a useless coordinator." The attorney gave her a very cold stare. "Sit down," he ordered. She fell completely silent and slowly sank back into the velvet cushions. He continued reading the heavy document out loud. The official proof showed this was a highly deliberate choice. Uncle Arthur had explicitly stated his deep reasoning. The documents clearly highlighted my unwavering trust and my long consistency. He noted that I never asked for money while the others only visited when they wanted cash. He left them absolutely nothing. They were completely cut out. My mother started crying softly. My father looked totally shell-shocked. I looked at my sister. Her face was bright red. I finally spoke. My voice was steady and perfectly factual. "I handled his affairs when you all ignored him," I said. "Now I handle everything." I did not yell. I did not gloat. The undeniable power instantly shifted in that quiet room. Their grand narrative entirely collapsed under the heavy weight of solid legal reality. I was the wealthy owner of a massive estate. They were just greedy relatives sitting in my lawyer's office. I firmly closed my briefcase and stood up. I looked down at them with absolute confidence. I was completely untouchable. They could never call me useless ever again. I turned away from them and walked proudly out the door to my new life. I finally gained total control over my own future. My family had to face the harsh consequences of their constant disrespect and arrogant assumptions. My parents tried to call me asking for loans. My sister actually demanded a share of the estate. I set extremely firm boundaries without a single apology. I cut off their access to me completely. I moved into Uncle Arthur's beautiful home and hired Mr. Henderson to help me manage the properties. It is incredibly dangerous to underestimate the quiet people. That is a massive blind spot for bullies. They mistake your kindness for weakness and your silence for stupidity. They never see you coming until it is too late. I learned that my true worth is not defined by their cruel words. Usefulness is strictly proven by steady actions, and not by petty insults. I am a wealthy and successful woman today because I did the hard work while they just complained. My daily life is absolutely peaceful right now, and I will never have to tolerate their toxic disrespect ever again in my life. Being completely underestimated and facing public humiliation is a terrible burden. If you have ever been called useless or quickly written off by your own family, I understand you. Please share a specific moment you were heavily underestimated in the comments below. I read every single one of your posts. Subscribe right now for more grounded and real outcomes. Click hype to help this story reach others who need it. Thank you so much for watching my video today, my friends. Please leave a like right now if this story truly connected with you. I strongly encourage clicking the hype button to help other people find it. I warmly invite your comments below with any shared life experiences. Your total support means the absolute world to me. I truly appreciate you being here, and I will see you next time.